jump right into this explainer. Today, we are cracking open the vault on the absolute holy grail of true crime, the mystery of D.B. Cooper. We're going to sift through the actual forensic details, the rough facts, the wild physical evidence, and even the psychology behind the one and only unsolved skyjacking in aviation history. I mean, just picture this setup. It's a pitch black, freezing November night in 1971. You've got this mysterious guy dressed to the nines in a sharp business suit, white shirt, and black tie, and he is about to literally jump out of a commercial airliner and straight into legend. He secured a massive ransom, leaped into the remote Washington wilderness, and just vanished. But he did leave a trail of clues behind, and we're gonna piece the whole shebang together right now. Section 1, a calm and calculated hijack. So, what started as a totally mundane 30-minute Northwest Orient hopper flight from Portland up to Seattle escalated incredibly fast, but also eerily quietly. Our guy, who introduced himself as Dan Cooper, specifically chose the very last row, seat 18. Right after takeoff, he hands a note to a 23-year-old flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. Now, at first, she actually thought he was just hitting on her, so she just slipped it right into her pocket, but Cooper leaned in and insisted she read it. The note neatly explained that he had a bomb in his briefcase. And just to prove he wasn't bluffing, he cracked the case open to reveal these ominous red cylinders, a mess of wires, and a large battery. Just like that, the hijacking had officially begun. Cooper was remarkably chill about the whole thing. He laid out his demands: $200,000 in $20 bills and 4 parachutes, 2 for the front, 2 for the back. He also wanted a fuel truck waiting the second they landed in Seattle. Now, Donald Nyrobe, the airline's president, made a really strategic call here. He quietly arranged for the FBI and a local bank to scramble and gather all that cash. Why? Well, purely to protect the company's reputation. He absolutely did not want a massive, deadly panic on one of his planes, so he ordered total, unquestioning compliance. And here is a number that brilliantly illustrates just how stealthy this guy was: 66. Investigators later pulled 66 unidentified fingerprints from that cabin. So he was definitely moving around, orchestrating this major federal crime, right? Yet somehow, he kept the other 36 passengers completely clueless. Literally, no idea they were being hijacked. While the planes circled Seattle for 3 hours waiting for the cash to arrive, the pilots just got on the intercom and blamed a minor technical difficulty, and the passengers bought it without a second thought. Now, a huge reason for that eerie calm on board was the absolute heroism of another flight attendant, Tina Mucklow. When they finally landed in Seattle, all the passengers were let go, but Tina was kept on board as a hostage while they refueled. She had to sit right next to Cooper, fielding his demands, keeping the peace, and basically preventing a bloodbath. The co-pilot actually went on record later saying she was so incredibly cool and collected, he literally couldn't imagine anyone better equipped to sit beside someone committing a criminal act. Moving on to Section 2, vanishing into the night. Okay, so they take off again with just the pilots and Tina. Cooper locks the crew up in the cockpit and then rattles off these highly specific aerospace instructions that proved right away this guy was no amateur. He tells the pilots to head toward Mexico City, cap their altitude at exactly 10,000 feet, lock the wing flaps at a 15-degree angle, and fly as slow as the plane could physically stay in the air. The pilots actually warned him, like, hey, with these drag-heavy settings, we're gonna burn through fuel way too fast to make it to Mexico. But Cooper didn't even blink. He clearly knew exactly what he was doing. You see, Cooper was taking advantage of the Boeing 727's unique aft staircase, the one that drops down from the tail in mid-flight. At exactly 8:13 p.m., the pilots felt a sudden, heavy shift in the air pressure, and the nose of the plane pitched up, forcing them to quickly re-level. Cooper was gone. He jumped into heavy, pitch-black clouds at 5,000 feet, into a freezing rainstorm with 320 km/h winds whipping past him, and 10 kilos of cash strapped right to his body. When that plane finally touched down in Reno, Nevada, it was completely empty. Well, except for his tie, a tie clip, some torn parachute cords, and his cigarettes. That brings us to Section 3, the physical evidence. Before we dig into the clues he left behind, let's take a super quick educational detour into human psychology. Ever heard of anchoring? It's a cognitive bias where we rely way too heavily on the very first piece of information we receive. So if the guy bought his ticket as Dan Cooper, why does the whole world know him as D.B. Cooper? Well, it's pretty funny actually. A hurried reporter named James Long was scrambling to make a deadline, and he just totally misheard a police source on the phone. The cop said Dan Cooper, Long heard D.B. Cooper, and he printed it. This is a flawless, real-world example of Brandolini's law, also known as the bullshit asymmetry principle. It basically dictates that the amount of energy required to correct false information is massively larger than the energy it took to create it in the first place. The media ran with D.B. Cooper, the public anchored onto it, and it became permanently cemented in true crime lore. All right, back to the physical evidence. The FBI's initial manhunt was just colossal. I mean, we're talking door-to-door searches, patrol boats. They even deployed a submarine 200 feet down into Lake Merwin trying to find a body or the cache. Absolutely nothing. It was a ghost town for 8 years until a pilot named Tom Bohan realized the FBI had messed up their flight path calculations because they didn't factor in the heavy storm winds that night. He pointed investigators toward the Washougal River drainage area. And wouldn't you know it, in 1979, an 8-year-old boy digging on the banks of the Columbia River downstream unearthed $5,800 of decaying $20 bills still bundled in the original rubber bands. The serial numbers were a perfect match. But honestly, the money wasn't even the most fascinating clue. Remember that tie clip he left on his seat? In 2009, forensic experts used advanced electron microscopy on it and found something wild. Traces of unalloyed titanium and a highly specific titanium antimony alloy. In 1971, those were not common metals you just find lying around. They were incredibly specialized materials used almost exclusively in high-tech aircraft fabrication facilities. This was a massive revelation. It strongly suggested our mystery man worked in chemical manufacturing, aeronautical engineering, or maybe even for Boeing itself, the exact company that built the plane he just hijacked. Section 4. The Prime Suspects. Armed with this metallurgical profile and a finalized 1973 police sketch, the FBI built a staggering list of over 800 suspects. But there was always this giant elephant in the room. Could a human being even survive a jump like that? Initially, experts said no way. But then the copycats started coming out of the woodwork. Just 5 months later, a guy named Martin McNally tried the exact same stunt. He jumped out of a plane going 400 to 500 kilometers per hour, so even faster and more dangerous than Cooper's jump, and he actually survived the landing safely, using only a reserve chute. McNally was caught shortly after, but his wild stunt proved to the FBI that D.B. Cooper walking away from that drop was absolutely 100% possible. Which brings us to our first heavy hitter suspect, Richard McCoy. McCoy was a Vietnam War veteran who pulled off an almost identical skyjacking, demanding $500,000 and 4 parachutes. He was eventually caught and slapped with a 45-year sentence. So naturally, everyone thought, boom, we got him, this is Cooper on his second run. But when you actually weigh the evidence for and against him, the theory completely falls apart. Not only did McCoy look nothing like the final FBI sketch, but investigators uncovered a rock-solid, ironclad alibi proving he was in Las Vegas with his family the exact night Cooper was jumping out of Flight 305. Then you've got Robert Rackstraw, another highly scrutinized name. Also a Vietnam vet, but this guy had specialized knowledge of explosives and a really striking physical resemblance to that 1973 sketch. The guy even used to joke with reporters in the 70s about being D.B. Cooper. A few years ago, a TV producer named Thomas Colbert put out a huge book and documentary naming Rackstraw as the definitive guy. But, staying strictly objective here, we have to note that the FBI officially dropped Rackstraw from their radar way back in 1979, simply because they lacked any substantial, concrete evidence to actually charge him. Finally, Section 5, an unsolved mystery. 45 years. Think about that for a second. That is how long the Federal Bureau of Investigation actively hunted for the ghost of Flight 305. But here is a wild little piece of trivia for you. On July 12, 2016, literally just one day after Thomas Colbert published that book pointing the finger at Robert Rackstraw, the FBI officially announced they were closing the D.B. Cooper investigation for good. Coincidence? Maybe. But after 4.5 relentless decades, the Bureau decided the trail had permanently gone cold. So the ultimate takeaway from this explainer is just the sheer, enduring enigma of the crime itself. Every single copycat who tried to replicate this stunt survived the jump, but they all eventually got caught. Cooper is the only one who slipped through the cracks. So I leave you with this to ponder. Did the master outlaw beat the freezing rain and outsmart the FBI to enjoy his stolen fortune? Or did the brutal Washington wilderness claim the ultimate high-altitude thief that very night? And who, really, was the man who vanished into the sky?